Radio play. George and Lenny are on their farmhouse 5 years later. A small white farmhouse sits on the deep valleys of the Californian countryside. Acres of farmland littered with men doing their day's work surround the cozy little house. Inside, George sits reading the paper, whilst Lenny sits in the backyard tending to some rabbits. The men hear a knocking at the door. "Hey George, you hear that knocking? I think somebody be at the door." "George, somebody be at the door." All right, Lenny, I hear ya." George goes and answers the door, to find Candy and Crooks standing there. "God almighty, well if it ain't so. Lenny, come and see who's here. How the heck did yous find us?" George extends a hand to the men and welcomes them inside, whilst Lenny makes his way to the door. "Thank you, George. See, well, we was tired of working for Curly and his old man, so we decided to search for jobs on the other ranches around California, and..." Lenny comes bounding over, and when he sees Candy and Crooks, gets excited. "Crooks! Candy! How you been? My God, didn't know the day I was going to see y'all again." Candy continues talking. "I was just saying to George, we stopped working for Curly and his old man because we got sick of him. And we finished that up about 2 or 3 years ago. And so we've been working around other ranches around California. Then, about 2 weeks ago, we come across a ranch about 60 miles north here, found a couple of fellas who said they'd worked for you two a few years back. Gave us directions and, by God, we've been searching ever since." George and Lenny smiled, and the men were led by George into the kitchen. "Come in here and sit down. We got a lot to catch up on," said George. "Well, I never knew your dreaming would someday be true," said Candy. "Yep, we knew it would be happening someday. I even get to tend the rabbits," said Lenny excitedly. Lenny then left the room and gestured for the men to follow. They followed him outside to a small pen that held about 6 rabbits. "We only got about 6 at the minute, 'cause we just sold our other litter of babies. They breed so quick, although we should have some more real soon, George says." "Lenny, they be searching for days. Let them sit down and have a rest, would ya?" said George. Candy excused himself politely. "Oh, we don't mind. Honestly, George, doesn't worry us one bit." The men returned inside to sit around the table. "Lenny, fix them some water, won't ya?" said George. Lenny did as he was told and got them all a glass. "Thank you so much, George," said the man. "No problem. Now tell me what's been happening the past 5 years or so," asked George curiously. The men sat around the table long into the night talking about all the events of the past 5 years. The men laughed and yelled as they reminisced the events of their pasts. They talked well into the sunset about their lives and soon spoke about their not-so-distant future together. The 4 were reunited at last.